PPO 1500, is that the new insurance plan?
That's the least expensive plan.
Yeah, okay.
It's not the,
Yeah.
POS 200 plan. We've only got, I think, 2 or 3 employees still on that.
Okay. So that would be an incentive to stay on that new cheaper plan?
Well, that's an incentive. We're not offering 2 plans. I have no plans of offering 2 plans, but the plan that we're offering is not a premium plan, and what this does is it makes it more attractive.
Dude, what's the status of the rec position right now with Ryan and stuff, where we gave him an increase a few months back?
Well, we did, yeah, we gave him an increase a few months back. We're holding him there because he's still pretty much running the show. He's going to lose that, and what I'm proposing is we give him $2 an hour, which is going to bring him up to 19 bucks an hour. It's going to be the same price that we're paying our transfer station people and our public works people. I'm trying to get a layer in there, what these positions are to pay it. So he's currently still at the rate that we agreed together, and we're going to be taking that away from him pretty well.
A couple things, I guess, going backwards. HRA contribution, is that the one that they carry over from year to year?
That's correct.
And on the ICMA retirement, I know we talked as we were looking at some departments of having a differentiated system where if the employee contributes so much, we contribute so much more.
Right.
Is there any thought to that again?
Well,
I'm just going to throw an example out. So if you have 6.5 now, and they get 1.5, if they go up to 2, we would go up to 7.5. They go up to 3, we go up to 8 points or something like
Right.
that.
And that's how we originally got talking on this thing of going up to 2%. We have a lot of our employees who are contributing more than that right now. Bob had some really good points during a discussion that we had maybe a year ago about that, about, making these people pay more money when maybe they can't afford to. If they want to go into Main State Retirement, pay 9%, hallelujah, let them do it.
But even a small increase for them would
and we can do that.
magnify.
I mean, we can do that. If this, I haven't spread the word amongst the employees on that because I kind of changed gears a little bit. But if we want to look at that, asking them, because this is for the benefit of the employee. I mean, this is their retirement package, and if we're going to contribute a little bit more on the town side, then yes, I do believe they should be, contributing maybe a little bit more on their side because it's just going into that pot.
And they wouldn't have to, but in order to get a bigger chunk from the town, they would have to put in a little bit more. Because 1.5%, when you look at all different retirement programs, is very little. And again, I think we should be encouraging them in some way to look to the future a little bit, even though
and I'd be good with it.
they're living.
I don't have an issue with it.
And again, I'm just saying, even if we went this route this year, I think that should be something that we should consider. And the only other thought, and I don't know if we've really gotten there, I know you mentioned it briefly, it was, how many years ago did we go from extended hours some days at the town office? We even had some Saturday time, but they were finding that people didn't come in those off hours. Are we going to be in the same position if we open up Thursday night till 8 o'clock and Saturday morning, the first Saturday of the month for 4 hours, but nobody shows up?
Right. See I want consistency. And when you have a Thursday night where you're open to 8 o'clock, people give up that. So if we have every weeknight we close down at 5:30 at night, that's an extra hour. People get out of work at 5 o'clock, they're able to get in there. Or if we decide to open at 7 o'clock in the morning, there's an extra hour and a half on the other end of the day. So all this stuff. I mean, tonight, we had a lady come in here at 27 after 4. We closed at 4:30, and I mean, she was in there till 4:45. And, and so that impacted, had to go like heck to get the town office so she could get there before they close. This happens all the time. It's such an inconvenience for these people.
So the plan would be every day?
Every day. So we have 4 10-hour days.
Right. No, I'm just, I see it as a positive, but if people don't use it, then, but if you do it every day,
you're
that
going to
makes
get
a difference.
consistency. like making a good pizza, it has to be consistent. So,
I think consistency is important. I think you may be able to remember without writing down the hours that the town office is open, but nobody out there does. And they need, once they know that it opens at 7 and closes at 5:30 or whatever, it ought to be that way every day the town office is open. The second thing that I mentioned before was no matter what you do, no matter what time you say the town office is closing, you'll always have somebody comes in 2 minutes before or 5 minutes before, and only 20 minutes worth of help. So when you expand the hours for the employees in the town office, I would expand it to some point, like a half hour beyond closing. There will be things that they can do at the end of the day for that half hour.
absolutely. It takes them a half
Or they
hour.
can wait on customers. It doesn't work to say you're closing at 5:30 and everybody is done getting paid at 5:30, because that will never work. That was the point I made to you, I think.
And I listened to it too, and I agree with you.
Other than that, I think, I don't see any flaws in your plan.
So the
I'm
other,
supportive.
the other thing I want to talk about on the second page of that, we had, we had 3 of the department heads who did not get the full pay increase last year that we originally had offered them, and had actually had improved in the budget advisory committee. We ended up removing that section of the pay increases, and we gave the hourly employees their pay increase starting January 1st of this next year. But we took it away from the higher paid staff. So I guess my question is, I think the right thing to do would be to finish our unfinished business and get that taken care of. That's a decision on the council, where to move forward, and you can see how much money we're looking at. What that does is that brings those 3 positions up to about $75,000 a year, which is on target with what Winslow's paying, and it's a little bit higher than what Fairfield's paying, and it's a hell of a lot lower than what Waterville's paying. So what that does is that puts us pretty much even with Winslow.
I think that's a good idea, because it'd be pretty hard to replace these people with the money they're getting. And we need to pay them well and require them to do a good job. And I think they're doing a good job or a great job, and we need to pay for it.
And, you know, and the thing is, you gotta remember, we're paying for the position. So at some point, all of these people are gonna retire. And we wanna make sure that we don't get caught with our pants down around our ankles like we did with some of those other retiring people. And so we want to have the money in the budget, because when you lose somebody mid-budget season and you have to hire somebody in at $6,000 or $7,000 more, you don't have it in the budget to go and do it.
Yeah.
So it causes a problem. Okay.
Need a motion?
I do need a motion for me to move forward with this.
I'll make a motion, we go ahead with these guidelines and you present us a budget using them, and we'll see where it goes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Second by Dave, all in favor?
Of course, the budget will be on Zoom, so we won't be able to hit him when he does that.
It's going to be difficult on Zoom, there's no question.
Next item is to review the foreclosure of 209 Willie Point.
Okay, so you knew the story on that. We have foreclosed on a property at 209 Willie Point Road, which is a waterfront property. The property, the person who owns it has vanished from thin air. We can't contact them. We've done everything we can do on our end to make that happen. There's a mortgage holder on it who happens to be an attorney out of Winthrop, and we also foreclosed on him as well. And he sent a letter, and I hope that everybody has had a chance to read that letter. And basically what he's saying is he's an elderly gentleman who lives in the southern part of the state, and due to COVID, they haven't been traveling up. So he ended up visiting the office to find the letters. He ended up calling Jan 3 days after the foreclosure, and he doesn't want to lose that property. Now, there's a couple of things going on here. One is he he was planning on foreclosing on the other owner, the property owner, so that process was in play. The other thing is, I don't know what kind of complication that COVID's going to create for us. You know, I mean, is there a legal argument that he, being a lawyer, I mean, he's going to push the fact that he pretty much guarantee that. Whether or not he has any traction or not, it's beyond me. But is there an argument that can be made over the fact that due to COVID and due to his age and the fact that he's, you know, a little bit compromised, you know, so this is a decision that the council can make. I mean, we can own it and we can move forward with it. We can sell it back to the, or he wants us to convey the title back with a, what was it called? A waiver of lien. Yeah, waiver of lien.
Go ahead, Bob. He's willing to pay this off.
All the
Is that what I read?
$10,000 worth of property tax. We've had this thing hung out there forever. Years and years and years. It's been 2 years in arrears. He's been just paying the third year property tax, so it's a chance to clean it right up.
And it's plausible that he was not able to get to his office. That's how I view it. If that's a plausibility, he's got an argument. If we take it over and they try to end up selling it, we've just muddied the waters even more. I'm guessing this town would probably need to sell once he cleared up his foreclosure end of it. But we wouldn't be running into this anymore. So we make an arrangement with him that if he doesn't pay it off in a certain amount of time.
Well, I think you'll find if I call him tomorrow and tell him the town's agreed to his, you know, his plan, that he'd be up here tomorrow with the $10,000.
As long as there's a note attached to it that we're in COVID times, everything's different in COVID times. We all understand that. But the 3 days, I'm good with the payoff.
I would like to get some more information, because obviously he's going to make a ton of money if he forecloses on the owner and then he turns around and sells it. We have, I don't know, how many people are on that list that we sent out notices to for the final lien?
50.
How many?
50.
50. So we had 50 other people who were perhaps, and I don't know, I'm not saying this is fact, they could be out of state, they could be wherever, and they all complied. We had a case recently where we had a gentleman who didn't pay. There were some other circumstances there, ended up offering us the money. The lawyer came, here's the money, and we said no. You know, 3 years of practice, he's done this for 18, whatever number of years
So
he's
you
done.
remember there was extenuating circumstances with that particular situation, but I hear what
Oh
you're
yeah,
saying.
they're all a little different. So, you know, I guess if we're going to do something to mitigate his circumstances, I think we need to find out the owner of the property. Did he really, you know, how long has he been paying? How much did the guy actually have out? You know, he sent us a letter, which I'm guessing is true. I don't know what's going to happen with Mr. Hotham, whether he's going to be involved, get something for this, or he's going to lose everything he had invested. We could be setting up Mr. Hotham to lose the property, which he might have 50, 60, 70,000 in, and this guy gets the profit of that, plus whatever else, you know, he's going to get. So he stands to gain quite a bit. Mr. Hotham, I guess, was a veteran, disabled veteran, perhaps. He gets nothing. So, you know, I'm not comfortable yet just saying, yeah, you pay us the
I
taxes.
think we can answer some of those questions for you right now. Per his letter, and per conversations that I've had with him, because I've talked with him several times on the phone, he actually has $80,000 that he loaned to Mr. Hotham for the property. He's been paying property taxes, the lawyer's been paying property taxes on it for years and years and years. He's been always coming up and paying property tax. So he is probably going to be out personally about $100,000 or maybe a little bit more. And the property's valued at $182,000, and he has neighbors on both sides of it who want it. So yeah, he's got an automatic sale there. As far as Tracy Hoffman, we can't find him. He hasn't been able to find him. We've covered ourselves legally on it, but we've experienced a situation like this before, if you remember it. And, you know, and it can get a little bit sticky. You know, personally, and I'm putting my opinion out there, you know what they say about that, it just feels wrong to me, only because there's too many problems with it. COVID, can't find a veteran. You know, the thing is bringing back memories, and I just wonder if we're making the right decision. You know, and the thing is, my big concern, I talked to Jan about setting precedent. Are we setting precedent by doing this? Because, you know, we foreclosed on mortgage companies before, but I don't think we have because of the COVID argument. I think we can make a reasonable argument as to why we chose to go back and sell it back or transfer it back to one of the prior owners. That's just how I feel.
Well,
I feel bad for Mr. Gaskink, the attorney, because he didn't really do anything. He didn't do anything wrong per se. Having said that, the town didn't do anything wrong either. They followed the law, and they got to the point where they repossessed, where they took the property and elected taxes. So in his letter to us, he tells us that he found this Mr. Hotham in Skowhegan.
That was a long time ago, though.
Well, a few years ago, it says. He found him, but he couldn't talk to him, and he talked to a minister, but Mr. Hotham wouldn't talk to him. So fast forward to now, this gentleman is not some, he's not some poor, uneducated home